This is a luxury travel games board by the Old Bond Street retailer Alfred Clark. And he was active from around about 1890 to 1950, and he enjoyed a very good reputation. And in fact, Edward VII had a walking stick and a cigarette case that came from him, and he was much loved by wealthy customers of the late Victorian, early Edwardian period. So, onto the games board. Well, first of all, as you can see, it's in quite a good leather case, and it looks like it's got a lock with a key, but actually the little pin of the lock is a slide bolt. So you just pull that down and then you can undo the lock nice and easily. And there's the games board inside. Now the case is fitted to support the games board nice and comfortably. So it's quite a snug fit in there. And the reason that it's fitted, as you can probably hopefully see the inside there, to keep it nice and snug, is because you've got these games markers overhanging on both sides, and those need to be protected by the case. So that case does a very good job of that. And in fact, if we look to the inside of the case, you can also see the retailer's name there stamped in gilt. Clark, 20 Old Bond Street. Now a games board is made of ebony offset by silver plate. So this looks rather smart, the silver plate against the dark black of the ebony. And it's a folding games board, as you can see. And to lock it, you've got a pair of sliding bolts. So we open up the case. Slide the bolt across, one from each side, and there it is, locked as a games board. Now, you might be thinking this is an unusual shape. It's not square as you might expect, it's rectangular. And there's a good reason for this. The reason being was that it was probably aimed at people who would use it whilst travelling by train. And of course, if you're on a train and you're sat in a normal carriage, most of them didn't have tables in between the bench seats. So what you would do is you would rest the games board on your knees like that, with a person opposite you who you'd be playing cards with. And then you could have your game, you could flip up your gadget markers to make your scores and while away the time on your long train journey. And at this period, train travel was very popular, and a number of makers were making different games to occupy the time of the people travelling up and down the country by train. And this is a wonderful example. And of course, you could use it on a table if you wanted, but going by the size of it, I think it was aimed mostly at people who would be travelling by train. So it's made of ebony, as we said, and the fittings are silver plated. Fitted to the hinges as well, you've got these little sections which lift up. Now I'm not quite sure what those are. They're not deep enough really to put any gaming counters or betting counters. Perhaps they were to mark how many games you played, or I'm really not sure about that. Someone who perhaps is used to playing Bezique might let us know. But they're an interesting little feature of it. Now, Alfred Clark's name rather, is also marked to the board. And let's just come in a little bit. Whoop. And if you can just hopefully see here, you can see that his name is engraved there. And also just on the other side here. The games board is double-sided, and it's a very good looking thing. I mean, it's just the ebony offset by the silver plate is really quite stunning. It's around about 1900 in date. A very good retailer in Alfred Clark. I keep on calling him Arthur. Alfred Clark. So let's fold it up again. Slide the bolts. Put it back in its case. So before we do that, as I showed you before, hopefully you can see those grooves, and those are there to protect the physique markers. That slides in nice and snug. Lid back on. Slide lock. And away we go when we finish our train journey. An ebony silver plate games board with physique markers in a leather case, retailed by Alfred Clark of 20 Old Bond Street, London, in round about 1900.